Now let's talk about vector spaces and subspaces. So first let's talk about a vector space. So let's say we have a vector space V, right? So what is a vector space? Let's say you have a vector V1. So I will make this bold, right? This V1 belongs to V, and then let's say there is another vector V2. Both of them belong to V. Okay, so V2 and V1 both belong to V. And if we can, if they follow a property that for all v1 v2 that belong to V, then v1 plus v2, okay, also belong to V, right? So that is property number one. And second property is that some constant times v1, okay, also belongs to V, then it's a vector space. Now this addition operation, there are actually generalizations over these in the actual definition, but for practical purposes we'll limit this to just addition. And what this also defines is that there is a zero vector or a null vector, which is sort of like the origin of a vector space, and then you add it to any vector, you get the same vector back. Now what is a subspace? So let's say you have two vectors w1 and w2, okay, and they belong to some subspace. Subspace is a subset of this space V, such that this W is a subset of V, right? So what that means is that if w1 and w2 belong to W, then they also belong to V. They are a subset. The W set is a subset of V. Now, if from this the other properties also hold, such as W1 plus W2 all belongs to W, okay, and some constant times W1 or constant times W2 also belongs to W, then it is a subspace. So this is a vector space, and this is a subspace. So this is a subspace of V, okay, so because it's a subset of V. So what are some examples? Let's say you are in a three-dimensional world. All vectors are three-dimensional, and let's say this is the origin of the three-dimensional world. And then if I have a vector w1, okay, and I have another vector w2, okay, so here I can only draw two dimensions, but let's say there's a third, so you can think of it as the following. So this may not be axis aligned, right? So you have two vectors. Whenever you have two vectors starting from the origin, you can always orient the plane of your screen so that it passes through the origin. You can move your screen around, and you can tilt it and rotate it until it contains the plane or the hyperplane containing w1 and w2. Now any vector in this hyperplane, any other vector, can be represented as alpha times w1, okay, or alpha 1 times w1 plus alpha 2 times w2, where alpha 1 and alpha 2 they belong to real numbers, right? So alpha 1, alpha 2 are scalars that belong to the real set of real numbers. So all of these belong to the same vector space W, even in the three-dimensional world, with just two numbers. So these two numbers are sort of like, you can think of it as coordinates of that subspace, the two-dimensional subspace of the three-dimensional space. So your three-dimensional space is V, and your two-dimensional space is W, which is defined by these two vectors W1 and W2. In general, if you have three vectors W1, W2 and W3, then your subspace will be as large as the original space itself, right? So if the dimensions match and there's no degeneracy. So what is degeneracy? A degeneracy could be that you have W1 and W2 that are collinear with each other, okay? So in that case, if you take a linear combination of these two, you will stay within this line, you will not explore rest of the plane. Then it's this subspace has even one rank deficient. It has even one lesser dimension. So we are not talking about that. We are talking about general subspaces. So as long as you have n dimensional space and fewer than n vectors within that space, you're looking at how many vectors what is the subset of vectors that they can define using a linear combination, then you will get a subspace of that original n dimensional space. So keep in mind that this has to pass through the origin. So if you think about a three-dimensional space, okay, and if I take any plane that contains the origin, okay, and I can rotate it in any way, then that particular plane is a subspace of the original three-dimensional space. Now think about it this way: if there is a normal vector from that plane, right? So let's say there's a normal vector which is like perpendicular to that plane. It is coming out of that plane. It is normal to that plane. So in general, all these vectors in W, in the subspace W, will satisfy this W, okay, dot this W hat. What is W hat? W hat is the normal. Okay, so let's say this is W hat. W dot W hat is equal to 0. So so if this is fixed, right? This is fixed, and this is any vector. Okay, so any vector that satisfies this property that W dot W hat is equal to 0 will lie in a subspace, and that subspace, let's call it W in this particular case, capital W, right? So here all these are capital letters, okay? These are capital and not bold, whereas these are small letters and they are bold because these are vectors. Okay, so that is the concept of spaces and subspaces. Okay, now let's talk about matrix operations. So first of all, how do we define matrices? We will use a capital letter. So for example, X matrix, and we will make it bold. So let's say we have X and Y. These are two matrices. So what are matrices? These are generalization over vectors. You expand the dimension of the vectors. So if you had a vector, so let's say for example capital X, okay, that belonged to, we were calling it R to the power n, right? Another way to write this is that we will say that X is a matrix, but it has only one column, so it belongs to R to the power n cross 1. Okay, so these are vectors. Here let's say this belongs to R to the power m cross n, and this also belongs to R to the power m cross n. Okay, this stylized R is the set of real numbers. Right? It could be complex numbers also. For all practical purposes, we'll stick to real set of real numbers. Alright, so now there are analogous operations in matrix computation to what we saw for the vectors. So for example, we can have matrix addition. So we can do X plus Y, provided both of them have the same dimensions, both have the same number of rows and same number of columns. So the convention is these are, first you note the rows and then you note the columns. Okay, so this would be equal to so let's say the matrix X was x11, x12, etc. So you will have x11 plus y11, okay, all the way up to x. So now first we will talk about rows and then columns. So this is the first row, 1n plus y1n, okay, dot dot dot. So the last row will be x, and this will be mth row, m1 plus by m1, and all the way up to x mn plus y mn. Okay, so this will be the matrix. So these are the individual elements of the matrix. Okay, you can also define products. So let's say you have matrix X and you have matrix Z. Okay, so their product is only defined if, let's say, if X belongs to R m cross n, then Z has to belong to R n cross MNOP, let's say P. right? So this and this dimension has to match. Why? Because we will take the first row of X and we will take its dot product with Z. Okay, so here what you will get is your first element would be so you'll take the first row x11, okay, and its dot product with Z, so you will have Z uh, Z11, okay, so the first column of Z, and then you will have dot dot dot, okay, X first row you will have x1n, okay, times zn1, okay, so this will be the first element, etc. And your last element would be, so the last row xm1, okay, times z, this will be the last column, right? So the last column will be so this will be m1, and the last column will be pth column, right? So this will be 1p or np, sorry, I'm sorry, not np, 1p, and then you will have xmn and znp, okay, and this will be your matrix. So these are all the elements of the matrix. All right, so the third operation that I want to define, which is analogous to the vector operation, is an element wise product of x and y. Okay, so this is similar to addition. You will have x11 y11, and here both of them, x and y, should have the same dimension, and all the way up to x mn y mn.